In order to do your skimmer, you need to make sure that you're following the procedure points on your packet for the project. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to pop open your cereal box so that the graphic side is down on the table in front of you. And you want to start in the corner that's going to give you the logo on a majority of your skimmer. So I'm going to start in the actual folded corner, and I'm going to measure, and I'm using inches, I'm going to measure across 4 inches on that fold line so that I have a nice straight edge to work with. Then I'm going to measure down the 11 inches on the side fold line. And then what I'm going to do is I'm also going to measure out 4 inches when I get down here to the 11 inches so that I have a perfect square. And then what I can do is I can use my ruler and make sure that all of my measurements line up. So I have 11 inches, 4 inches, both directions, and then I can draw my lines. Because if you don't make sure that you have the inches in both directions even, you're going to end up with a not square line when you draw it on here. So then I got this like this, and I'm going to also draw across where that fold line is so that I know that I have to cut there. So now I have my body. And then what I need to do next is I need to look at my packet and see, okay, what do I do next? The next part is making sure that you have this dotted line here, the dotted line here, and the dotted lines here. So you've got to make sure that you have those inches correct. It's 3 inches here, and then this is going to come back 3 inches from the edge. So if I want to make this my front, so from 3 inches from this line back here, and I'm going to mark it on both sides. Again, the reason I'm doing that is so that it's even. If it's not even, you're going to have problems. So then I'm going to take my ruler and make sure that that's lined up. And I'm going to put my dotted line across here. Now, this was 4 inches, and the inside where the dotted lines are going to go is 3 inches. So I need a ½ inch taken away from each side. So if I go up here at the top edge and take a ½ inch away here and a ½ inch away here, and then do the same thing down here at the bottom. That way you can line up your lines. So I can line up this dot with this dot down here. And then I can make my dotted lines on the box until I get to this dotted line, and then it's solid after that, because remember, you're going to have to cut slits on this part. I'll come over here and get the dots where I put over here on this side. Make my dotted lines that I'm going to fold on until I get to the dotted line here, and then I've made solid lines. So when I get done with my body, it's going to look like this. Now that I have the main body of my skimmer done, I want to do my 2 fins. And my fins are 3 inches tall by 3 inches wide, and they're triangular in shape, but they're not a perfect triangle, which means they have a lip here at the top and the bottom that you have to measure a ½ inch for. So I'm going to actually go off of the edge of my main body and do my 3 inches from that. So I'm going to come out here 3 inches. And I'm going to do my ½ inch here so that I know where that mark's going to go. And then I'm going to come down 3 inches here. And I'm going to make sure that I'm 3 inches exactly away from that there. That way it's square. If you don't do both measurements, you're going to have problems. So then I've got ½ inch that I'm going to come up. I have my ½ inch here. I'm going to draw my line. I'm going to draw my line on the seam of the box. And then I have another fin. I have this fin done here. And I'm going to draw another fin right next to it. So I'm going to come out 3 inches. I'm going to come down 3 inches. Make sure that I'm actually 3 inches away here, and I am. Then I've got to measure my 1/2 inch here and my 1/2 inch here and draw my line for my second fin. So now I have 2 fins. As you can see here, I have laid out the fins as well as the main body panel of the skimmer. Next, I'm going to lay out the air scoop. And the air scoop, if you look at your measurements in inches, it's 3 inches and it's a square, but on either end you have a different measurement to add. On the bottom edge, you're adding 3/8 of an inch to either side, and on the top edge, you're adding 1/8 of an inch. When you finally get done with this shape, it's going to look more like a trapezoid. So let's begin on the edge of my skimmer main body panel, and I'm actually going to add in the extra 3/8 of an inch on either side from the beginning. So I'm going to start here and I'm going to go 3 3/4 of an inch. And then I'm going to take my 3/8 away from that. 1, 2, 3. And I'm going to come in 3/8 on this end. 1, 2, 3. That should give me 3/8 in the center, or 3 inches in the center, which it does. Okay, so that's good. So I'm going to go from here, and I'm going to go straight up, and I'm going to go straight up 3 inches from this point, and I'm going to go straight up 3 inches from this point, and I'm going to close in my square. And then up here at the top, I'm going to add 1/8 of an inch on either side. So I'm going to put a point here, and I'm going to put a point here. Then I'm going to take and add a line between those points in order to create my trapezoid shape of my air scoop. And then these lines should be dotted, so I'm going to erase part of the line so that the line looks more like a dotted line, so I know that I can fold on this line and not cut. Now I have all of my pieces done. You should make sure that your name is on all of the parts and get all of your measurements checked before moving on. Now that I have all of my pieces for my skimmer done and I've got my measurements checked by Mrs. Williams, I am going to actually begin cutting out my pieces. Once you have all of your pieces cut out, then you can start putting your skimmer together. Once you have all of your pieces cut out, including your 2 logos that you're going to put onto your fins, then you're ready to start putting your skimmer together. You need to do 2 things. You need to cut your 3-inch slits where the fold line is here on your skimmer body, and then you're going to make folds on these 2 dotted lines. So if you use your edge of your ruler and lay it on that line, and then grab a hold of the edge of the skimmer body and pull that up on the ruler, it's going to give you a nice bent edge. And do the same thing with the other side. My fingers under it. So once you get your skimmer bent, it should look like this, okay? And you have these 2 pieces in the back. This piece is then going to bend on the line here, so that you can put your fins into the space that's slit. Then you need to take your scoop and do the same thing that you just did with the skimmer body. You're going to grab the edge, put it up against your ruler, bend the edge of your scoop, flip to the other side, bend it up, and then you're ready to attach everything. Take one of your fins. Remember, the angled side goes to the front. And you want the graphic side out. So I'm going to attach these two pieces together with a little bit of tape. Attach that. There's one fin. Then I'm going to take the other fin. Same thing. I want to flip it so that my graphic side is out. Slide it in between the flap and the body. Add a little tape. Okay. You want all three of your corners to match up here so that this is put together at an angle. So you take some tape, put it on here, and you want to get that so that it's right at that angle and tape that on there. You may also want to put some in here, which I'm going to do now, to give it a little more stability. Okay, and then you're going to do the same thing to the other side. Okay, now that you've got your fins on, the next step is putting your air scoop on the front. So you flip it around so that this is your front, and you want the narrow edge, so not the thick edge, you want the narrow edge at the front of your skimmer like so, and you want it to be flat up here. What I do is I take a piece of tape and put it on the underside of my scoop and attach it inside this way. I'm going to take another piece and I'm going to do the same thing on this side. If you want to put a tape across here to hold it together a little bit more, you can do that. Just understand that it will probably come off from skimming across the floor. So you can tape it that way if you want to hold it together a little better. Now all I have to do is put my logos on. Get 2 paper clips from Mrs. Williams and add them to the front, and you're ready.